Good morning, Thistledewers. It's Judy from Thistledew Creations here. And today we're going to do some playing with some napkins and a doily and some glue and some coffee. Oh, and some stamps. So I've done this before at the very beginning when I started doing this, and I haven't done it for a long time, but I saw someone making faux rice paper. So I thought I would get the stuff out and just do a few. I was only going to do 2, and then I keep adding, so forgive me if this gets a little long. But I thought I would start with doing a little bit of stamping on these 3. This one doesn't really need any stamping. This one I got from Wanda Ford down in Nova Scotia in our recent swap. So I'm just going to take the backing off. I just take a piece of tape and pull on the backing, and it will release from the front. And then you can get that off. No need to try to find the edge of it with your fingernail or whatever. And I always save the backings, and I use them either at the dining table or for cleaning up glue messes or ink messes or anything. So I'm going to probably save this one for last, because this other stuff needs some work done on it. So for this doily, I'm going to kind of not turn it into rice paper, but sort of plasticize it or reinforce it with the glue so that I can use it probably as a page in a journal. I might end up ripping it up and using it some other way, but I just thought I would do a little bit of stenciling on it. And I have this plastic placemat that I ordered, I think it was on Temu. So I thought I would just put this right over top, and I'm sort of lining up the center rosettes. That's centered. And then I'm just going to take my blending brush and my archival ink in ground espresso. So it's fairly dark. And get my brush inked up. And then I'm going to start in the middle here and work my way out. And you see that's giving us just a very subtle dark brown image in the center, right over top of the fanciness of the doily. And then I'm going to keep working my way out from the center, holding the placemat in place. It moves a little bit, but I don't mind if my images are a little bit blurry. What I really wanted to get was on the plain part of the doily. I wanted to get this design on there just to make it even more fancy. And I don't think I'm going to go out onto the border. I'm just going to do it sort of in the center. Do this corner. Let's see. Use a little more up in here. So that just gives that whole thing a little bit more especially in these plain areas of the doily, just a little bit more detail. I think I'm done with that now. Although I could do this over the yellow too. Okay, so I'm not going to do the gluing just yet. I'm going to set this aside. We'll do the gluing all at once. And then the yellow, I had some plain yellow napkins, and I don't remember where I got these. It might have been in a mixed bag from the thrift store or something. I don't think I got them in swaps. I don't really collect plain napkins, but if this works out, maybe I'll start. And yellow is not one of my favorite colors either, but this is a pretty nice pale yellow. So I thought with what I'm planning to do with the glue, this might turn out to be a nice parchment color. So let's go ahead and do that same stencil on this. Kind of center it up, find that crease, and center that flower on the creases. And let's do the same thing. We want to get this center star. And I'm going to go all the way to the edge. I really like these triangular webbing designs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I ordered this placemat on Temu, and it was a set of them, so if anyone just thinks they have to have one, we could do a little swap. I'm pretty sure I have more of them. If not, I can certainly share the link with you if it was a one of. It's like a plastic placemat, that's what it is. So another thing to search when you're just looking at craft supplies, sometimes you have to look in other areas of the stores. So let's just take a peek at that. So that just makes that a lot more interesting, eh? Almost ashamed to get this all inky, but I don't ever intend to use it as a placemat, so it is what it is. It's serving its purpose for me. And it's not a vintage one or anything, but I would use a vintage one. I have some. I had them in my Etsy shop for years and sold one every once in a while, the very, very old plastic lace doilies. And now that I'm doing this, I wish I had those back. So there's that, from very plain to quite interesting. It's got a static to it now. This is a silicone sheet that it was down on. Probably all that rubbing made it staticky. I'm going to set that one aside as well. And I will put this big stencil back now. And what I thought I would do on this one, this is just a, I think Tim Hortons, maybe Wendy's napkin, and it's got that pebbly texture. But I thought I would just do some either stamping or stenciling on it. I'm not sure where my stamps are, so I guess we're stenciling. Oh, they're there. I was thinking some florals or botanicals, but when I'm opening my stamp box here, right away I'm seeing my script and my music. So I think I'm going to do a combination of those on this. Because most likely, if I use it in collage or anything like that, I'll be using a botanical on top of it. So this will work just fine. This'll do. As I like to say, this'll do. This'll do Creations. So I'm just pressing that all over. I've got a small stamp pad, so I kind of have to move it around. And I'm going to put this up in this corner. And I was watching a stamping thing the other day, and it said it takes a few seconds for that ink to get itself into the paper. So when you put your stamp down, hold it and press. You don't really want to move it, but you can kind of press and it'll get more of the ink into the paper. And this paper, of course, is very absorbent because it's a napkin, a serviette, as we say in Canada. I know that's a word that you guys don't use in the States, or y'all don't use in the States. I know these things because I have American cousins. I was born in Charleston, West Virginia. And when we get together, we talk about the differences a lot between things in the States and things in Canada. That was 2 layers, so I realized it, so I just decided to take that off. I didn't even need the tape for it. So I got music, and then I'll do some script as well. And I think what I like to do, or like the idea of doing, is changing to a different color when I'm doing 2 different stamps in the background. So for the script, I think I'm going to do it in black. And I'm using archival ink because it doesn't run when you put wet water-based things over top of it. If you use the regular inks, or especially the dollar store inks, you might find that they will run when you get them wet. So look for the archival if you want to do this kind of project. I just use them for all things, and then I don't have to worry about it. Like for basic stamping, I usually use these archival inks. Now, beside this music that's going this way, I'm going to stamp the opposite direction beside it. And again, just giving it a few seconds and pressing. It's still a bit smudgy, but it is a little more interesting that it's not just all the same color. And I also read on a stamp, or not read, but saw on a stamping video that the ink is released from these pads from pressure. And that's why it's good to press and move the stamp pad rather than rub it on, because the pressing motion is what releases the ink out of the basement of the stamp pad. And so I'll put this one the other direction. Again, hold it a bit. Kind of pushing, I'm not really moving it. See, that one came out better, crisper. Might just be that the ink was releasing better too from being pushed. The only thing about the archival inks is it doesn't come off your hands with soap and water as easily. I usually use a little bit of acetone or alcohol. I've found that it comes right off my fingernail polish if I just swipe some acetone just lightly on it. I'm gonna go this way. Oh, I didn't hold it very long. And then I'll go this way and push for a second and see if I get more out of it. I'm gonna go back here and see if I can fix this one up a bit. Like I say, I don't really mind if it's a little bit murky. That's okay. So I'm gonna just leave this other little piece. We're gonna run out of time to do everything. So put those back in my stamp box. And I guess we'll start with this one since it's here. Put my inks back. I do try to stay somewhat organized. Okay, so what I'm going to mix up to put on this, I've got a little takeout container here from the last time we got Chinese food. And I got a little bit of ground instant coffee in the bottom just to color this glue just a little bit. And it doesn't really need it for this one, but I'm gonna put a bunch of glue. And I'm just watching my consistency as I pour it. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it. You don't want it to be too thick so that it doesn't glide easily over the napkin, or else you'll rip your napkin. So you want to water it down a little bit just so it's got a softer touch. It of course will take it a little bit longer to dry, but you need it to not rip the napkin. So just a little bit of water in there. I'll see how this feels after I mix it up. And the coffee will just make this a beige mixture instead of a white mixture. It's going to dry clear, of course, but if it's got the beige in it, it will dry beige instead of clear. So I'm going to keep mixing until I don't see coffee grinds anymore. Now, if you did want sort of a speckled effect, you could leave some coffee grinds and they would probably stay stuck to the paper. But I don't think I want little specks. And I think I'm getting a pretty good consistency. It flows off the brush nicely. And this bottom of this container has a little high spot in the middle, so that's why I'm kind of going around the outside, making sure I've got all the little coffee crystals. Now I'm tempted to throw a little bit of baking soda in here to make it not acidic, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. I don't know if we need these books to last hundreds of years. If you are doing something that is really a family heirloom kind of thing, you might want to make sure it's not acidic, but you'd have to test this with I have some pH strips that I keep when I coffee dye paper, and I do put the baking soda in then, and I test it for acidity, try to get it neutral. There's no magic formula. Well, there might be a magic formula, but I haven't really seen anybody that knows it. They just sort of wing it. And I certainly craft that way. So that's coming up to a nice color. And then you just take, actually I'm going to put, I could do it right on the silicone sheet and it would be fine, but I want to be able to move it out of the way. So I'm putting down a piece of plastic that just came from packaging of something. I don't remember what it was, but something I got off Temu probably. So I'm just going to put that down, and then I will put an outline approximately the size of my napkin and just fill it in. That's why I'm using the big brush, to get that coverage. Like just a normal paintbrush, 1-inch paintbrush. You could use a wider one even. I do have one speck in there. I think I want to get that out. And then you just take and lay your napkin into that. Get it spread out or crinkled up the way you want it. And then go over it with more glue. I don't mind if there's a few wrinkles. I really don't. It's pretty hard to get it perfect. So you better to embrace the wrinkles, because it just makes it look older anyway. And just a nice light, even coat. This will be a nice thing to use in a layering of tags or a collage. I'm going to start, after I finish this project, I'm going to do some layered tags so you'll know what I mean. It'll be probably in a video that's either before or after this one. And then what I've seen them do is just kind of go along and push the brush towards the edge, maybe even give yourself a really out of square corner and make it look like it's old and distressed around the edges. It'll take that part a little longer to dry, but it also probably reinforces the edge because it makes it thicker. So that's going to be pretty cool, I think. It's all wet top and bottom, and that's all you do to it right now. You just let it dry. So that's why I've got these sheets handy. I'll get this up behind me here. And I've got that one so that I can fold it over. It'll take a lot longer to dry that way, but they do eventually dry. I had some that I have left in my craft room like that for quite a few months actually. And I went in and got them just the other day and they were all dry. And they don't stick to this. So for this one, I'm going to put down a square. You can, if you're not good at guesstimating sizes, you could make some marks or put some tape for yourself to mark the size of the square. In this case, if I line it up underneath the red, or on top of the red, I see that I need to go all the way, and from here I could do, just to give myself a visual line to go to, I can start over here, and then I know I have to go to those red lines. But like I say, if you're not good at that kind of spatial awareness stuff, you could just put down some masking tape on the plastic and then fill it in. So this doesn't have to be terribly thick layer, but you do want, I do want this to be fairly flat when I lay this down on top. So just like that, just kind of holding it tight. And then from the center, I'll work my way over. And I am still getting some wrinkles, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. So with the yellow napkin now, with the brown ink, and now the beige coffee glue, I'm hoping it'll turn a little bit more of a parchment color. Doesn't look like it's going to, but I'll find a place to use it as yellow anyway. It's not that I don't like yellow, it's just probably my least favorite. I like it when it's mixed with pink. And then if these will dry for me like overnight or something, I will do a follow-up or try to do a second video and attach it to this one to show you how it turned out. I'll do my best. Might have to be a separate video. I found one video where I had spliced two together, but I really don't remember how I did it, so I have to figure it out again. It's been a whirlwind year. I started this channel about a year ago with no knowledge of what I was doing. Just decided to just do it because I've been thinking about it for quite a while since I started watching YouTube. And I didn't know how to do it at all, didn't know how to go about it, but I just said to myself, just do it, Judy, you'll figure it out along the way. And that's basically what I've done. Like I say, I figured out how to splice two videos together at some point because I did it, but I don't remember how I did it. I'm not folding that one over, I'm going to leave it flat. And then the next one we'll do is the doily. And this is a 10 by 14, I think it said on the package. Let's see how accurate that was. 10 is pretty close. Yep, 10 by 14. So it was Wilton brand, so the baking supplies company. So I think this was kind of intended to be used under a cake. So I'm just going to, it's pretty much the size of the inside, actually almost all the way to the top and bottom of the red, and inside the red on the sides. So that's where I will put my glue. I think I mixed up just the right amount. So this is a good reason to save that packaging that you usually toss or recycle. If you do a lot of projects where you need something to dry, you can set it on packages like this to let it dry, and it doesn't stick to it. So I use it a lot for that kind of thing. Now this isn't going to be as prone to crinkling. We might get a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. Stick it right down. It's a good quality one, being a bakery one, not a dollar store one. And now I'm just going to take center part of the next napkin that we're using. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. And I'm going to use up the rest of this glue, or some of it. So I'm going to do the edges fairly thick because I'm not going to be able to crinkle them up, so I want them to be well coated. They can be weak spots. And when you peel them off the sheet, it's such a satisfying thing. It makes the back really super smooth if you use a smooth plastic. If you used a textured plastic, like a sheet protector that has that bumpy texture, you'd probably get that bumpy texture on the back side of the item you're gluing. That would be fun too. So I thought I would just do this quick video as like a warm-up before I start actually making something more creative. I've found that that really does help me. So if you're sitting down at your desk and you just don't know what to do first, or you don't remember that list of things you wanted to make, do something like this that doesn't take a lot of thought, and it kind of preps you for the next time you craft. Same thing with like when you're cutting out things while you watch television, or I do stuff when I'm sitting out on the porch. It's giving me materials that are ready to go whenever I'm ready to craft. So that turned out pretty. Kind of nice beige color. And then the last one I was going to do was the one I got from Wanda. And I think I'll do the whole thing since I have room to lay the whole thing out. Actually, maybe what I'll do, because I do like using smaller pieces of this kind of napkin, I think I'm gonna cut it in 4. So I'm just getting my paintbrush wet with some clean water. It doesn't have to be clean, it'll work with any kind of water. I've used water with mica in it before and it still works. Just cut that in half, and then the other way, cut that in half. And then the edges, I will do the crumpling up thing. So now I need basically 4 separate squares. Better make sure that this one is up far enough. Might run out of glue. I'll just do what I have enough for. So I'll do the whole piece, and if I don't have enough for all 4, then I'll have enough to finish what I've started. So those edges I'm going to just leave because they're torn. And these edges I'm going to crimple. This will be nice in a botanical journal or on a vintage journal, this pattern. Wanda and I, she was one of the first people I ever swapped with for this craft. And we've done a few swaps this year, and I hope to do a few more with her. We've done playing cards, we've done napkins, we've done just full box swaps, which we both really like doing, I think. Go once around the craft room and throw a bunch of stuff in a box. I'm going to crinkle those a bit just so they're not touching because they'll be hard to get apart. And I might have to stop after this one because I'm running out of glue and I really don't want to mix up more. And I'm not doing it for any particular project, so it doesn't matter if I have all 4 of them. I've got another whole napkin of this, so I'm just barely getting this one wet. I've got a little bit more glue here. Like I said, I did this when I was first playing. I was using a lot of wet glue back then, like with paintbrush to collage. And then I realized I didn't really like the texture of the finished collage with the white glue on top. So I don't think I would be much of a Mod Podge girl. I prefer the paper feel on top instead of the plasticky glue feel. But I want to do some collaging with these too. So that little container now, I don't think I'll even bother washing it. I'll let it dry and I'll probably just keep using it for the same thing. It'll become my coffee glue container. Just mix up small batches of it. I will clean the brush though. So I'll set those aside, and in a few days I'll come back and do a follow-up and hopefully splice them together for you so you can see how they all turn out. And then we'll do maybe on that video we'll do a thing where I use some of them. So I hope you like coming along on my creative journey with me. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Most of all, have a great day and happy crafting.